Back to the daily grind. The channel's getting false flagged by triggered trolls, so make sure you subscribe to the new channel. Let's get to the MMA news. UFC Women's Featherweight Champion Cris Cyborg's coming out, and she's calling out Holm officially for UFC 19. Let's get it. I wonder how this is going to go. Is Holm going to accept the fight? Does Holm want to go back up to 145 pounds? If you remember, Holm, she's fought for the 145 championship and the 135-pound championship now. She held the 135-pound belt, and she fought for the inaugural 145-pound championship against Germaine de Randamie. She lost that fight via split decision. It was a little controversial. Germaine de Randamie had landed a couple shots after the bell. Some people felt like some points could have been taken away, which would have gave Holm the championship, and then maybe we would have already seen this fight. Do you think Holm would have vacated her belt rather than fight Cris Cyborg and defend her championship as GDR did? Or would she have defended her belt versus Holm or versus Cris Cyborg? I honestly believe if Holm would have won the belt that night, the inaugural championship, when Ronda Rousey, well, actually, yeah, she could have fought for the 135-pound championship versus Amanda Nunes for a two-weight champ to become a two-weight champion, but that didn't happen. So let's get to reality. UFC 219. This fight was offered at Madison Square Garden, Cris Cyborg versus Holm. Not offered, but that's when it was originally reported to be scheduled. Cris Cyborg said that she couldn't make it. I forget the exact reason. There was an article that came out and said Cris Cyborg turned the fight down versus Holm, which isn't technically the truth. It was something about the date with Madison Square Garden, and she said she'll fight in Las Vegas though. So UFC 219 is in Las Vegas. Cris Cyborg's down to fight Holm, but if I remember correctly, and you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but whenever this fight was reported to happen a while back, okay, so they were talking about making this the inaugural fight, Cris Cyborg versus Holm, or even the fight might have been supposed to happen at 140-pound catchweight. But the thing is, Holm's team, Holm, she said she was down for the fight. Her team, they I believe either turned down the fight or said Holm couldn't take the fight. So I wonder if anything has changed. Is this good for Holm? I mean, before her last win over Betch Correia, she wasn't really looking. She was on a losing streak. I mean, and they were some of the fights were close. I mean, I don't think she was in as bad a shape as some other people, because when you look at her losses, they were all either championship losses, or she was winning, and she was winning some of the fights, like the Miesha Tate fight. She was winning the Miesha Tate fight until the 5th round when Miesha Tate got that insane submission. So I mean, there's I don't know, there's a lot to unpack here with Holm versus Cris Cyborg. Is the fight gonna happen? Does Holm want to move up again in weight? She just gotta win at bantamweight. Does she not want to go for that 135-pound title? If you can make 135 pounds and you're ranked number 2 or so at 135 pounds, Holm, I believe, is ranked she's top 3 for sure at 135 pounds. So she could get either one more win at 135 pounds and fight for that title, or does she want to go straight up and fight Cris Cyborg? I mean, ooh, that would be a hell of a challenge. You got to admit, that's straight respect. If she does accept this call out from Cris Cyborg at UFC 219, that's fucking respect. I mean, whew, there's not too many people that agree to fight Cris Cyborg, and for Holm about her last 4 fights, for sure she's 1-3. She might be 1-4 in her last 5 fights, but for sure she's 1-3 in her last 4. So man, that would be Do you guys think Holm can handle Cris Cyborg? Cris Cyborg would come forward. Holm's a counter striker. Would Cris Cyborg have to play the Tyron Woodley game and be careful, like versus Wonderboy, and not run into her strikes? How would that fight go, man? Holm's got a chance for sure. She's definitely got a chance. Holm's got, man, she's underrated for sure, just because she was on a losing streak. A lot of people underrate her, but I mean, you have to consider all of her losses were championship fights or 5-round fights, and she was winning the fight versus Miesha Tate. Even though it was in her losing streak, she was looking really good that fight before she got submitted. So I mean, Cris Cyborg's calling out Holm, and like I was talking about in the Stipe Miocic situation, you can't call out a smaller person repeatedly, or there's got to be some, I don't know, you know, you have to let them call you out or you're going to start to look like a bully. You know, Cris Cyborg, she's calling out Holm. I'm wondering why she's not calling out Megan Anderson or Megan Anderson. I got to fucking figure out if it's Megan or Megan. It's spelled Megan, but I've heard people pronounce it Megan. I believe Ariel Helwani, I've heard him pronounce it Megan. So he's usually right on that shit. So that's why I say Megan or Megan, but I don't know. So, but Megan Anderson, she was supposed to fight Cris Cyborg before she, for some reason, she had to pull out of the fight, and Tanya Evinger was able to fight her for the belt. But Megan Anderson, she was supposed to fight Cris Cyborg. She's a 145 pounder legitimately. She came over from Invictus. She fights at 145 pounds. She had a woman on deck ready to fight Cris Cyborg, but for some reason that fight's not happening. Even it was scheduled for the UFC, and so I'm wondering why Cris Cyborg's not, you know, pursuing that fight, that option, instead of calling out a smaller, you know, bantamweight and 135-pound Holm. Holm does have the bigger name, but, you know, it gets a little dicey when you call out the smaller chick. Kind of, you know, people are going to take that and say you're trying to fight a smaller chick, or, you know, there's going to be trolls that say she's trying to pad her record and fight smaller people, and I don't think that's true. I mean, there's not many people that will fight Cris Cyborg, so until we can get word on Megan Anderson, I mean, shoot, she's going to have to call out somebody. And since Holm has fought at 145 pounds actually for the belt before, that actually makes it better. It's not like she's calling out, any of you 135 pounders want to come up and fight me, I'll whoop all of you. It's not like she's doing that. She's calling out somebody who's actually fought for that belt before. So Holm's fought at the weight class. If this fight happens, it will be a big fight, that's for sure. I mean, Cris Cyborg's definitely going to be the favorite. I'm going to most likely for sure pick Cris Cyborg, but it's going to be a lot closer than people think. Because unless she's going to have to put together a smart game plan. You can't just rush into a counter striker like that and expect to just run in there and clip her up, because just like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson has the ability to do, catch you coming in and it'll be good night. So it's going to be a good fight if it does happen a lot, but some people are going to have Holm out of it, but I don't. I think it'll actually be a good fight. She's calling her out for UFC 219, so I mean, it is what it is. She said she wants to fight in Las Vegas. Cyborg Nation, let's fucking get it. Cyborg's got she's in the UFC now, got the belt on her waist, man. It's good to see. So maybe this will come to fruition. Maybe we'll hear from Megan Anderson. And until then, man, it is what it is. I got work tomorrow, so I might put out 1 or 2 more videos for the night. But in the daytime tomorrow, it's gonna be a little slow. You know, I usually do this all day, but I got, you know, work fucking finally, which is a good thing. So it is what it is. Let the haters know what the fuck you tell me in the comments, dude. P.S. I remember why Cris Cyborg didn't want to fight at Madison Square Garden. She said it's because Jason Perillo is going to be coaching Michael Bisping at Madison Square Garden, so she wants to be able to fight with him in her corner. So she wants to fight in Las Vegas since she can't fight at Madison Square Garden with Perillo. So that's why. It's because her boxing coach Jason Perillo is going to be with Michael Bisping that night, and she wants him to be with her when she fights. There you go, motherfucker. That's why they said she turned down the fight with Holm at Madison Square Garden. But it's because she wants her coach with her. I mean, you can't be mad at that. It is what it is. Jason Perillo's a hell of a fucking coach. What the fuck you tell Matt left look Harry? Take him down. What do you get when you cross an elephant and a rhino? Elephino.